EVO. Welcome back to the Devil's Ledger for the week of February 22nd. We begin this week with a fond farewell. The flame has been extinguished, the medals awarded, the final anthems played. And so, we say goodbye to another Winter Olympics, a celebration of human endurance, grace under pressure, and the remarkable ability of the human body to do things that the rest of us would not attempt, even with excellent insurance. To every athlete who competed, congratulations. You reminded us of what discipline looks like, what sacrifice demands, and what it means to pursue excellence even when the world's watching. And to the Italian Alps, thank you for the beauty, for the drama, and for the quiet, ancient reminder that mountains have stories of their own. The fog, the shadows, the long winters. If you've listened to this network for any length of time, you know that we suspect the Alps are keeping a few secrets. We leave them now, but respectfully and quickly. So we start, as we always do, with the creepiest thing I heard this week. So given what's going on in the Northeast right now, as I'm recording this, the creepiest thing I heard wasn't something someone said. It was something that nature did. Way back in March of 1888, the Northeast United States was hit by what became known as the White Hurricane, a blizzard so powerful, so relentless, that it buried cities, it shut down an entire region, and it changed the way America builds its infrastructure. And the craziest part? Most people walked right into it wearing spring coats, because the forecast called for rain. On March 11th, the temperatures were mild. Some snow was expected, but nothing unusual. But then overnight, bang, the weather turned violent. Arctic air collided with warm Atlantic moisture, and the rain became snow, heavy snow, wet, wind-driven snow. Then the winds picked up even more. Hurricane-force gusts up to 80 miles an hour whipped the snow into blinding walls. Visibility dropped to near zero. In cities like New York, Boston, and Philly, people stepped outside and simply disappeared into white. By the time the storm ended 2 days later, some areas had received 40 to 50 inches of snow. But the real nightmare wasn't the snowfall. It was the drifts. The wind had piled snow into mountains, drifts 30 to 50 feet high in places. Entire two-story homes were buried to their roofs. Trains vanished beneath the snow. Streets became canyons of white. And then, everything stopped. Telegraph lines snapped under the weight and the wind. Communication across the Northeast went dark. Railroads completely shut down. Supplies couldn't move. Cities were isolated from the rest of the country. In New York City, elevated trains, the backbone of their transportation, froze in place. Passengers climbed down ladders into the storm and tried to walk home through the blizzard conditions. More than 400 people died, many just blocks from their destinations. Some froze in place where they stood. Others wandered in circles until exhaustion took over. And then there's the part that sounds almost impossible today. The storm changed the future of American cities. After the blizzard of 1888, New York itself realized something critical. Elevated infrastructure was too exposed. Telegraph and power lines were moved underground. And then the city began planning a new kind of transportation system, one that ran beneath the streets. And a mere 16 years later, the New York City subway opened because of a blizzard. And maybe the craziest detail of all, when the storm finally ended, the temperature dropped so low in the spring that the snow hardened like concrete. It took weeks to dig the city out. Some drifts didn't fully melt until April. The White Hurricane didn't just bury the Northeast, it buried the illusion that modern cities had some kind of control over nature. And now every time you step into a subway in New York, you're walking into something that exists because, in 1888, winter decided to remind everyone who was really in charge. To everyone in those blizzard conditions tonight and tomorrow and the rest of the week, Just stay inside, man. Just be careful. And I hope you stocked up on canned goods. On The Devil Within this week, we have a request from multiple listeners over the past few months, and as a result, we're bringing you a 2-part series exploring one of the most enduring and unsettling cryptid stories in American history. The Mothman. West Virginia, the 1960s. A winged figure, glowing red eyes, dozens of witnesses, and a series of tragedies that seemed to follow wherever the sightings appeared. Is it folklore? Is it mass hysteria? Something unknown? Or something that shows up when something terrible is about to happen? 2 episodes, 1 chilling legend, in a story that refuses to fade. On the Ides of April, we begin a new series this week, the rise and fall of one of history's most extraordinary figures, Alexander the Great, a young king who conquered most of the known world before the age of 30, a military genius, a visionary, and, depending on who you ask, a man who outran his own destiny. Empire, ambition, legacy, and the questions that follow every conqueror. What happens when there's nothing left to conquer? On Taboo Treasures, the boys are back, and this week they take their sharp, satirical lens to one of humanity's stranger habits, creating jobs so dangerous, so absurd, and so historically questionable, they have to wonder, who looked at this situation and said yes? From ancient hazards to modern risks, it's an incisive and darkly funny look at the most dangerous ways humans have ever chosen to make a living. On Criminal Mischief, Carolyn Osorio returns with updates on several major cases dominating headlines right now, including developments involving Nancy Guthrie, Brendan Banfield, and other stories that continue to unfold. Because in true crime, the story rarely ends when the news cycle moves on. On Finding Me with Josh Wolf, Josh continues his daily journey toward something we all claim to want and quietly avoid: accountability, honesty, and the uncomfortable clarity that comes when you stop pretending you're fine and start asking what actually needs to change. It's personal, it's raw, and it's exactly what the show was built to do. This week in horror, for the Gen X crowd, and I proudly count myself among you, this one feels personal. The 7th entry in the Scream franchise arrives in theaters. This time, when a new Ghostface killer emerges in the quiet town where Sydney has built a new life, her worst fears come true. Her daughter becomes the next target. To protect her family, Sydney must confront the past and end the cycle of violence once and for all. Some franchises fade, others grow up with you, and somehow, Ghostface is still picking up the phone. As we wrap this week's ledger, our thoughts turn to the Northeast again, where a major winter storm is bearing down. Weather has a way of reminding us, quickly and without apology, that control is often an illusion. So again, to everyone in the path of the blizzard, slow down, stay warm, check on your neighbor, and give the storm the respect it deserves. May the roads stay clear, may the power stay on, and may your homes be warm and your family safe. We'll see you next week. Until then, stay curious, stay careful, and stay safe out there. The Devil's Ledger is an EVO production recorded live at Bel Air Studios in Los Angeles, California. For The Devil's Ledger, I'm your writer and host, Brandon Morgan.